welcome. My name is Rob, and today I would like to talk about copers. Alright, so what are copers anyway? Copers are those little plastic pieces that people used to snap onto their trucks in the early 80s. The idea behind them is that it let you grind smoothly and easily over things like pool coping and concrete. Keep in mind that back then we didn't have the methods that we do now for preparing concrete for grinding. So instead of rub bricking and waxing up a curb, people would just snap on a set of copers. Copers weren't around for very long, so why am I talking about them now? Well, I recently set up this early 80s reissue and I put on a set of copers because I thought it would really complete the setup, but also I was interested in trying them out to see what they were like. So what were they like? What are the pros and cons? Are copers right for you? All of this and more coming right up. Check it out. All right, let me tell you a little bit about this setup first. This is a Vision Shredder reissue. The original board was from about 1983 or 1984. That predates my skating career as a kid. I don't remember this board from back then, but I have been watching Skate Visions, the old 1984 skate video from Vision Sims, and this board turns up a bunch of times in that video. It's always caught my eye. It's a cool looking board. So I headed on over to selectskateshop.com. That's the company that makes Vision reissues. And I noticed that they didn't have the shredder available as a reissue. So I sent them an email and asked if they would ever consider making one. I kind of figured that they would say no. But they emailed me right back and they said, hey, you want to buy this one? Now, I wasn't in the market for a new deck at all, but it was exactly what I was looking for. The exact board, graphics, colors, everything. Just like Skate Visions, it was exactly what I wanted, so I got it. So I set it up period correct, just like the video. I put on a set of Gullwing Super Pro 3s, put on a set of blue Rat Bones reissues, even a set of blue rails. It was looking great, but I figured that the one thing that would really set it off is if I could scrap up a pair of white Gullwing copers. Yeah, that would really be the cherry on top. Well, it turns out that a local surf shop near me had a set of white Gullwing new old stock copers from the 80s. They even still had the price tag on them. Hey, it was meant to be. I ran down to that shop, picked them up, put them on this board, and I love the way that it turned out. Let me tell you a little bit about the installation process, because copers fit on very snugly so that they don't fall off. You really have to mash them on there. But considering that this is 40-year-old plastic, I figured there was a chance that they could be brittle. So rather than just slamming them on there and running the risk of breaking them, I ended up heating them up with a hairdryer first, just to make the plastic a little bit more pliable. And then I tapped them into place with a rubber mallet. They went on pretty easily at that point, and thankfully I didn't break them. At that point, I couldn't wait to go out and get myself some sweet plastic grinds. All right. Hey, I got myself some sweet Coper grinds. So how was it? Well, it was pretty much as advertised. It let me grind in places where I might not otherwise be able to grind very easily, and it felt buttery and smooth. All right, let's talk about the pros and the cons of Copers. I'm going to start with the cons though, because the most obvious thing is that Copers completely change the sound of your grinds. You know, we're all used to your metal trucks bashing against whatever. It's brash, it's rude, it's guttural. That's part of the charm of grinding. So when you grind with Copers and it sounds plasticky and hollow, it's a little bit of a letdown. I think it's especially wimpy when you grind on steel coping. Pool coping is a little bit better. Curbs and the tops of ditches and other concrete like that are a little bit better. But, you know, it is something to think about. If you really thrive on the sound of a grind, you might be a little bit disappointed by Copers. There are some other downsides too. They add weight to your board. There's not a whole lot of clearance underneath your trucks. And generally speaking, Copers are not needed. They're not necessary by today's skating standards. So, those are the downsides. But there are plenty of pros as well. The biggest pro is that they let you grind on concrete. Your grinds will end up being longer. You can get grinds at slower speeds. There were some times when I was grinding the top of a ditch and it felt like my board was going to stop, but it just kept going. And you can really milk grinds and make them really long. Another pro is that, I mentioned how there's not a whole lot of clearance underneath your trucks, but that turned out to be a positive thing because it allowed me to get grinds in places where I can't normally get grinds, like the top edge of a bank at the skate park. I was able to get 50-50 grinds there when I never have in the past. But finally, if you are looking for that look, if you're looking for that early 80s look, Copers are gonna do it. All right, so the big question is, are Copers worth it? I would say it depends. If you are only planning on grinding steel coping, I would say don't bother. I think if you are interested in setting up a super modern, techie, lightweight setup, don't bother. I think Copers are best suited for people who are grinding some kind of concrete, whether that is raw concrete out in the wild or pool coping, and people who are receptive to trying out this old, ancient skate gear. I think Copers are also really great if you are looking for some sort of entry-level 50-50 grind. Maybe you're not ready to do a 50-50 on a quarter pipe with coping. Coping scares some people. But you can get a set of Copers, throw them on there, and then try and get some grinds on the top of the banks at your local skate park. I had a really great time doing that. It was more fun than I thought it would be. And probably the most fun that I had with these things. I think Copers could also be pretty fun if you're getting burned out from your local skate park. Maybe you're always doing the same thing at the park and you need to freshen it up a little bit. I found that once I put on these Copers, I was noticing all types of things around the park, little edges and things that I could grind with the Copers that I wouldn't normally get to do. And I think that really freshened it up for me. Really enjoyed it. Maybe you will too. All right. Hey, that is about it for my exploration of Copers. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you get yourself a set of Copers or if you have them already, let me know. I would love to hear about it. Tell me your Coper stories. I would love to hear from you. My name is Rob, signing off. Thanks for watching.